and Todd Gurley leading the way when it mattered most. Wasn't pretty at times for the Rams, but they do find a way. They are 1-0. The Panthers cannot hold on for a victory.
Let's hear from Jared Goff, shouldn't we?
Let's do it.
And anytime you come on the road and play a good team with Carolina and a good defense and be able to produce, and our defense played the way they did, and it's tough. I mean, anytime you get on the road, especially in that first game, you don't really know what to expect. Get on the road and play an early start. It's a tough job. It's a tough job to do, and we did it today.
Whatever. I wanted more than anything to be 1-0 after today. But at the end of the day, certain things do happen. Frustration does set in. Not being on the same page, not being connected to the same Wi-Fi, whatever synonym that floats your boat, who cares? We didn't start as we didn't have the start that we wanted to have. We got to do a better job of protecting the football.
I would love to talk about Malcolm Brown vulturing 2 touchdowns or Todd Gurley being effective, though, on a snap count, as it looked like. But we have to address, you can't not ask about the outfit, guys.
Yeah.
What was Cam wearing and why?
You know what a manatee joke is? All right.
No.
South Park has this thing that Family Guy comes up with their jokes by having a pool of manatees just bat around balls with random pop culture references on them. So it's, this is like that time Susan Sarandon went to the deli with Donnie Bonaducci. That's how they come up with their jokes. Huh. I feel like he's dressed like in a mannequin way, or a manatee. It's like Zorro hat, barbed wire, and sleeveless 3-piece. Like there's manatees coming up with the outfits. Otherwise, how do you land on that? And is it a little weird that he shows up like that after a loss? It rubs me a little strange. I mean, it's preposterous.
There's no other outfit for him to wear but team issued. And if you wear that to the game, you got to wear it home.
Hey, why doesn't he wear? I don't want to put him in a box, but like the kerchief and the Zorro. Like, what, Peter? We're doing NFL 100 right now. You're a historian of the game. Imagine when it's NFL 150 and we're gonna go back and look at Cam's outfits. I mean, that's gonna be.
You're not even gonna know what year it was by the way he's dressed. You can't pinpoint it. You don't know if it's 1930s or if it's 2030.
I'm so numb to it. I saw Jared Goff wearing like a Pelican shirt with feathers, and I'm like, what's Jared Goff wearing? Like,
listen,
I'm almost numb to Cam.
Guys, I wore shorts with a suit. I can't talk about any dude that cuts off his sleeve. So
I want to talk about
I'm with
this
it.
game.
100%.
I don't want to talk about the Rams side. They did not surprise me. They found a way to win. Cam, though, has another game, week 2 Shregs, against the Bucs on Thursday Night Football after Christian McCaffrey had 29 touches, a short week for him to recover. He could not do any more than he already did. Cam has to step up. And Cam was in position to take the lead in this game and did not.
Yeah, and Christian McCaffrey
predicted they'll create 5 turnovers. I was a little off on that, but they created 3 turnovers, and that defense was flying around, making Cam Newton uncomfortable. But if Cam goes out there, he doesn't throw for a TD, he throws an interception, and he kind of waffles that consistency line all year long. This isn't going to be a team we're worrying about in December.
This team has now lost 8 of 9 going back to last year. The one game they won, a meaningless Week 17 game in which who did not play?
It wasn't Cam.
Cam Newton.
Kyle Allen throwing touchdowns.
There's a lot to look forward to Thursday night right here on NFL Network. Who are the standouts, the stars, the jaw-droppers?
Win by 2 scores.
Ian Rappaport is back, our NFL Network insider, with some injury updates. You look at the Chiefs, they just extended Tyreek Hill, and we know that Nick Foles got that 4-year, $88 million contract back in March. So 2 newly paid players, big names, dealing with injuries week 1. What's the latest?
Now, we'll start with Nick Foles. Not good news for Nick Foles, who, by the way, is going to have surgery this morning on his fractured clavicle. That's something that, as Foles said after the game, he knew it immediately. He can hear it. He can feel it. This was one. As soon as they rule a player out very quickly after the injury, you know it is bad news, and these can often be injuries that'll keep you out maybe 2 months. So likelihood is Foles headed to IR. Gardner Minshew, the starter, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have to find at least another quarterback to stay on the roster and to be their backup, especially after Foles started looking good. A brutal blow for the Jaguars. And then the Tyreek Hill injury. It's a very rare injury, actually, and the fact that he was quickly transported to work with a trauma doctor just indicates how serious this was. It was a sternoclavicular joint injury. Essentially, Kay, his clavicle went into his sternum. No surgery is required, but he is going to miss several weeks. Not sure exactly how many. Then the big question for the Chiefs is this a player who's going to head to injured reserve, or do they think they can keep on the active roster, which means he'll be back sooner rather than later?
Appreciate the update on both. And Gardner Minshew came in and did some things. And we know that Sammy Watkins with that 198-yard game alleviates a little bit of the concern from the Chiefs fan base. Appreciate you. Rap Sheet, we'll talk to you soon. I want to go L.A., Carolina.
They win 28-12. How about those Vikings?
And we still have a doubleheader to cap off Week 1 action. But, Schrags, what's your big takeaway so far from Week 1?
From Week 1, I'm going to go to that team, the Minnesota Vikings. I thought they were fantastic last night, and they made a statement. They only threw the ball 10 times, and they ran the ball down the Falcons' throats. They're the sleeping giants of the NFC.
Yeah.
We talked all offseason about the Packers and Bears. We talked all offseason about the Rams, the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles.
Right.
Vikings were dominant last night. You know what? They were dominant 2 years ago, and I think Kirk Cousins is a significant upgrade from Case Keenum. I think Dalvin Cook, if healthy, could be one of the best running backs in football. They are the team that nobody was talking about before Week 1, and we have to be concerned about the Vikings. Watch out, Rams. Watch out, Seahawks. Watch out, everyone else we did all the talk about. Vikings are your sleeping giants of the conference.
I'm going to look at the East, the North. I'm going to look at the East. There are two monsters in the NFC East, in the Cowboys and the Eagles. And we've seen great Cowboys teams, I don't know if we've ever seen them together in the same season, at least if you go back as we celebrate the NFL 100 to 1992. I think is the last time you saw an Eagles team this loaded, a Cowboys team this loaded. The Eagles were 11-5. I mean, look, we had Reggie, and this is Herschel Walker Eagles and Randall Cunningham Eagles. They were a great, great team. And, of course, Dallas, they were doing the triplets, and it was beginning really of a dynasty with Troy and Emmett and Irvin. Those two teams were fantastic. Guys, I'm starting to get the same sense of this kind of talent in these two teams. These two teams have not played in the NFC title game since all the way back in 1980. But just based on 1 week sample size alone, guys, we talked about Dak Prescott. It might have been the best game of his career yesterday. Was it even better than Carson Wentz's game yesterday? I don't know. It is a pick'em right now. I saw Dion was on with Chris Rose last night, and he threw in with Dallas, but I would defy anybody at home tell me definitively, is the Dallas or Philly right now? Who you got? Week 7 at Dallas, Sunday Night Football is the two teams. Exploding helmets.
Yeah.
Philly and Dallas both loaded this year. Look out.
Speaking of loaded, how about the Baltimore Ravens? That offense looks special. And you mentioned the Vikings only throwing the ball 10 times, doing the unexpected, almost like a bizarre world. And when it comes to Lamar Jackson, it was like a bizarre world. You expect him to run the ball, but he didn't. He was phenomenal. 17 for 20, that's efficiency. Putting up 324 yards, that's a career high. 5 TDs, that's a career high. Throwing fadeaway touchdowns like this right here. Lamar Jackson did everything that every single critic thought he couldn't do. They thought he was going to go out there and run the ball all season long. You know what? He's going to get hit. He's going to get folded up. He's going to get broken. He's not going to last. He only ran the ball once. I think he had 7 yards. The rest of the time, he dropped back like a traditional quarterback, threw touchdowns like a traditional quarterback. And guess what? This past weekend, you have to mention Lamar Jackson's name as one of the best QBs in the league as far as Week 1. I'm not saying he is, but respect him for the numbers he put up. As of Week 1, Lamar Jackson's in the conversation.
So what's your takeaway from seeing what he could do through the air? What did you learn from that? Because you called it happening for months before.
Yeah, no, I didn't learn anything. I thought that they learned from their playoff game.
Got it.
They spent 3 quarters trying to run the ball, and they were getting smacked in the mouth by the Chargers. And I think all offseason long, even though they were telling us they were going to run the ball, I think they were fooling everybody, knowing what they were working on behind the scenes was making sure Lamar Jackson was a more efficient passer going into the 2019 season.
Nice. There were a lot of moments that sort of stuck with me yesterday, but that Delaney Walker soundbite, you guys know I love Delaney Walker. Our first guest, he had a jersey come out and brought it to me, and I feel like I disrespected him, and I think a lot of people have after a season-ending ankle injury. He is 35 years old. This is a guy who has a permanent chip on his shoulder, being a 6th-round pick who was in the shadow of Vernon Davis. Then he goes from San Fran to the Titans, a team that doesn't get enough respect in the league. So that chip on his shoulder is there. It's prevalent, and it's never moving, and it's growing clearly, because you're going to go through your Monday, and you're going to hear a lot of talk about how the Browns lost and how the Browns' hype was too much. I'm pretty sure the Tennessee Titans won this game, and I love the way they did it. They dominated, especially down the stretch in the 4th quarter. And maybe my takeaway is that we've sort of slept on them. The table is set. Nick Foles they have an injury situation. Gardner Minshew, I don't know what they're going to have going on there. Andrew Luck, who's the biggest threat to them anyway, has walked away from the game. Is the table not set for these Tennessee Titans to make moves and a deep run into the playoffs from the jump?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Delaney earned that moment. He set it up. He said, going into the game, Browns this, Browns that. He had 2 touchdowns in the game, and he deserved that moment afterwards to say we crowned their ass.
That season-ending ankle injury was in the season opener a year ago. Then at the age of 35, you're going to have 2 touchdowns to start the season? You couldn't write a better story than Delaney
Had
Walker.
the soundbite of the weekend, too.
And these Tennessee
Mariota.
Titans. So more on that.